How does an ancient and one of the oldest varieties of eggplants compare to these modern day varieties? G'day, I'm Mark from Self Sufficient Me, and in this video I'm going to show you some of the differences between these newer varieties and good old Spiky here. Let's get into it. This magnificent specimen of a plant is called the pea eggplant or turkey berry. There are many names for it, and like all eggplants, it's also a member of the Solanaceae or nightshade family, which includes tomatoes, potatoes, chilies, capsicums or sweet peppers, and even tobacco. One of the earliest varieties of eggplant, this vegetable has survived and remained unchanged for thousands of years. No one really knows how long, but it could have even been around at the time of the dinosaurs, developing this thorny exterior as protection from massive herbivores such as a Vegansaurus and the mighty Aetus vegemitus. I first came across this vegetable slash fruit in Thailand in 2016 when we were visiting Chiang Mai, and one of the ingredients we used in a curry we made was pea eggplant. At the time, I think I was more fascinated with these tiny eggplants rather than trying to cook pad thai. So when we got back to Australia, I started researching to see if these pea eggplants were grown over here and where I could get my hands on some seed. Initially I didn't have much luck, but a few weeks later I was a guest on a local radio show I was doing each fortnight with Rob Blackmore, and I talked about my pea eggplant experience. And welcome to another episode of If I Can Do It, You Can Do It.
Hello, Mark.
G'day, Rob. How you going? Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Yeah, great.
He's got a cheeky grin about him this morning.
I'm just so rejuvenated after this Central Asian holiday that I went on.
Ah, yes. Well, let me remind the dear listener.
The pea eggplant that I'd never seen before.
So not a Thai eggplant?
It's not. The Thai eggplant is the small green eggplant. It's a beautiful plant to grow, but it's still fairly common, and it's been in Australia and around the world for a while now.
Did you see how they grew it?
I didn't.
They grow in bunches, would they? Would they?
Yeah, it grows in bunches, like a bunch of grapes, yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't see it growing wild. I saw the Thai eggplant growing wild a lot, and it was amazing how big those Thai eggplant plants got. Some of them were about 6.5 feet high.
Oh, wow.
And they were just littered across the mountainside.
There we go, look at that. Yeah, we're just having a Google here. Have a look at pea eggplant. So what, can we grow it here?
You can. Then I found out from a caller that these plants grow wild all over the place.
Put your headphones on, Mark. Gary's here on the pea eggplant. Gary.
Hi.
What do you know about these things?
They grow wild all over the coast.
Do they?
Oh.
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Around creeks is a good place beside the road. My wife's Thai and she's, spots them all the time. We've got them growing at home as well. The plant has thorns on it similar to a rose. And they're quite easy to find if you look around for them. If you probably Google the plant and get an idea of what the leaves look like.
But they'd be introduced, wouldn't they? They wouldn't be native pea
most likely are, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had never seen one.
Yeah, if you know what the plant looks like, they are easy to find. And, with the sweet curry, the bitterness of the pea eggplant just complements that sweetness, and they're quite nice like that. They don't taste real good on their own, but when you put them in the curry, they're quite nice.
And to grow them, Gary, at your place, what's the tree or the vine or the bush look like?
It's a fairly rough-looking plant. It's not particularly attractive, but it grows about 2 metres high.
Yeah.
Once you've got one in the ground, they just keep growing and growing. You don't need to do anything to look after them.
Okay. And little bunches of these things?
Yes, you get about 12 to 20 on each little bunch. Yeah, a little bit bigger than a pea, between a pea and a grape size.
Nice one, Gary. Thanks for the tip. All right, we'll keep the eyes peeled when we're wandering around, but if you're interested in a bit of that action, then they're a good one to grow here too. Are you going to grow these, Mark?
You bet.
You bet.
Yeah, thanks, Gary, for that. That's excellent. And sure enough, once I realised what I was looking for, I started seeing them myself at various locations around our area, and then like magic, these big eggplants with the tiny pea-like fruit appeared on our property as well. That reminds me of an old saying. Use your eyes and you will see. Knock and the self-sufficient door will be open to you. They do indeed grow like a weed, and these days I usually mow right over the little ones coming up down the back. Obviously there's no problem finding new plants now that they are coming up wild everywhere due to the seed probably dropped by birds and bats. But are they worth growing? And how do they honestly compare to the larger modern varieties of eggplant? Well, before I answer that, what do I mean by modern variety? Well, there's evidence that major breakthroughs in cross and selective breeding of eggplants began around the 7th century in tropical Asia, where these plants originated. From then onwards, eggplants spread around the world, and people are still experimenting to try and breed better plants and fruit. So I would say anything from about the 7th century until now is modern. And this is a really great example. I have a white variety growing here, and it's believed that this is where the name eggplant came from, around the 17th century, when people started calling it that because it looked like a chicken's egg. True story. Ancient Chinese writings about eggplant have been found as far back as 300 BC, although these old texts mostly refer to this plant with the small pea-like fruit, which can be quite bitter, even worse or more bitter than those big black ones my mother used to make us eat back in the 70s. It makes me wonder why we were eating bitter large varieties back then when there were other better tasting types available as there are today. But 40 years ago, and maybe even still, people used to salt their sliced eggplant before cooking to take away that bitterness. The only reason I do this now is to remove the moisture, so they grill better and preserve nice and firm instead of going mushy. I love an eggplant antipasto. Yum. These small berries are full of edible seeds. And they can be bitter to eat, especially raw, due to the presence of nicotine. I did say it was related to tobacco, but don't be too alarmed. It's not like smoking a cigarette. And you'd have to eat about 10 kilograms of these in one sitting to get the same effect as one durry. Good luck with that. So back to the question, is this ancient variety of eggplant worth growing and eating? Yeah, I reckon it is, especially if you want to make authentic Asian dishes. And the bitterness tends to dissipate quite a bit during the cooking process. This plant grows like a weed. It's extremely hardy, produces an abundance of fruit, and won't easily get raided by animals or humans. However, in all honesty, my personal preference is still these modern larger varieties, with the bitterness bred out of them. Because they are more versatile, can be used in many different ways. I think they taste better, and I like the texture more, and the plants are less of a health hazard. Ouchie. Having said that, I do recommend you grow this pea eggplant, even if it's just once, to grow and eat this piece of history where this fantastic and world famous fruit came from. It originated from this ancient prehistoric plant. I think it's incredible, and the fact that it's still around now and we can grow it and appreciate where the eggplant comes from, it's just something that's, I think, special, and I recommend you give it a go. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a big eggplant thumbs up and share the video around. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye for now.